The cream always rises to the top. I am Miss March. I'm a cultural mystic and women-centered storyteller, and this is the Reshuffle, where we explore feminist themes through spirituality and culture. This is our weekly reading. We are kicking off the week with our opalite tortoise. Opalite is a really calming and soothing stone, and tortoises, turtles, are really associated with longevity, really playing the long game. So some of you might need a little patience or a little portion of peace when it comes to pursuing some of your dreams and goals that take longer than a single season. There's an energy this week of feeling really vulnerable, being seen trying, desiring, hunting, pursuing after something, and feeling really sensitive to the perceived judgments or expectations of others around what it is we're desiring or pursuing. We may find ourselves really supported through a cleansing spiritual bath by maybe touching a little grass, going a little lo-fi, or simply reminding ourselves that we are not responsible for other people's projections and judgments over our divinity, over our path, over what we have assigned to ourselves and our hearts. We begin the week with autumn, bounty and balance, and basil, prosperity, luck, and love. Gourds, pumpkins, particularly as they relate to Cinderella and her pumpkin carriage, and ladybugs might be really significant signs and symbols for us this week. And what comes to mind is that autumn is a season where we begin to wilt, we begin to prune, we begin to fall away. And in that falling away, in the scattering, there is a revelation of what, despite even the smallest of containers, has survived, has blossomed, has thrived through our toughest seasons. So there may be a moment this week where you are tasked and asked to take a look around and what has survived death. What has survived the winter? What has survived even our own best attempts at sabotage? What is still thriving? And if it is in a tiny container, maybe this is a week where we want to upgrade it into a larger pot. The sea serpent, the Ouroboros, presents itself to us this week. Represented by a snake eating its tail, it represents the wheel of fortune, but more importantly, the cycles of regeneration and rebirth. This is a really good week to recycle old strengths, old projects, old pathways, and consolidate them into something new. We may be forced to find a new aspect of ourselves to create out of. There may be a version of us that needs to be resurrected back to life in order to create the new thing. There might be an aspect of us that needs to be put to rest, that needs to be recycled and reintegrated back into the whole until it's ready to become something new. And with this Nazar image in the center of the sea serpent, with all of these little water droplets coming from it, there might be an additional need this week for spiritual cleansings of your mind, body, and soul, but also of your spaces. There's sort of like a mopping energy, so it might not be part of your normal routine, but doing floors, doors, baseboards with some kind of elixir, let's say, might be really supportive to you. In part, I say this because the carnelian is also presenting itself to us. Carnelian is a really powerful stone of confidence, of protection. It says energy, leadership, creativity. There might be something about you being extra vulnerable or more easily distracted when you are at the precipice of rebirth, when you are trying to create something new, and adding additional cleansings, adding additional protections, adding even techniques and routines that allow and support your creativity to flow through you might be really important. There's also like a Two of Wands energy that comes off of this card this week. So meditation, working through visual exercises, and even things like mood boards might be a really encouraging and helpful practice. We do have the moth and the fox flanking the carnelian, however. Moths really speak to spiritual maturity and elevation, getting closer to the light Caroline, whereas foxes are really linked to the feminine trickster spirits of flexibility and humor and keeping us on our toes. So there may be little pockets of power, little pockets of ego, little dragons within that you have to kind of slay and overcome this week to find the happy medium between your power, your ability to strategize, your ability to see opportunities and get ahead, and the responsibility of your own character and integrity, of your spiritual calling, of what you know is right. Might does not make right this week, and while others may forget that, you will be reminded of the happy medium between them. I'm also noticing in this channel that it smells like cigarettes so strongly, and no offense to any smokers, but they stink. Like, it reeks the smell of cigarettes. And so there might also be something about cleaning up habits or developing healthier or more productive like coping mechanisms or ways to relieve stress or self-soothe, that it also gives the feeling of like pollution. So you might be guided this week to start making moves away from people who create like emotional, spiritual, like noise pollution around you, like really cleaning up your environment and the people and the places that you spend time in. And this line of swords cards at the bottom is not lost on me. We have the Ace of Swords, the Four of Swords, the Four of Swords, and we have the Seven of Swords. So there is something about identifying the antagonist outwardly and within this week and finding new solutions, much of which might just be to ignore, to avoid, to move around. There's a lot about picking battles here and saving your energy for building and for creation versus having unnecessary power battles with other people who will experience the consequences of their own personality naturally in the world. Autumn, the Ace of Swords, and the Moth give me the impression that there's some higher spiritual or moral lesson that's going to click light bulb moment for you this week that actually acts as a key and helps you unlock where your next sources of abundance and provision come from. The Carnelian, the Sea Serpent, and the Five of Swords also gives me the impression that you're going to start taking your spiritual hygiene and protections much more seriously, so that way there isn't so much compound pressure and anxiety that could be dealt with on like a day-to-day basis. And with the Basil, the Seven of Swords, and the Fox, you seem to be getting some kind of leg up, a trick up your sleeve, some kind of gift from the feminine mothers of consciousness and inspiration, perhaps the muses, if you will, that helps you get ahead. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Pentacles, the Star, the Butterfly, and the Moon, which I do think confirms a feminine energy being really in support of you unlocking your next steps this week responsibly and with grace. If you like these intuitive roundups, we do full 40-minute weekly readings over on Patreon, and I do have tarot practice groups once a week. Our next practice group is this Thursday. If you'd like to come for an hour, make some friends, practice some spreads. My books are open for intuitive readings, and check out my Substack where we dive into more femininity through culture, myth, and spirituality.